Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. It's Friday, the 26th of September, and it's a very rainy Friday. And according to the Met Department, the forecast is that there's going to be rainfall throughout the day. Now, let's start off with some local stories, and especially with Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka's visit to the United States of America. Now, President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka has expressed confidence that Sri Lanka is on course to achieve a rapid economic recovery, defying conventional forecasts that typically predict a decade-long rebound following a national financial collapse. Now, speaking to the Sri Lankan community in New York yesterday and on the country's economic trajectory, the president cited recent international reports that recognize Sri Lanka as a nation demonstrating swift post-crisis recovery. Now, the president said the country can return to the 2019 economic levels by next year. President Dissanayaka emphasized that this projection is not political rhetoric, but is grounded in data and economic indicators. He attributed the 2022 collapse primarily to a severe dollar shortage and outlined 4 key revenue streams that are expected to generate record foreign exchange earnings in 2025. Now, the first, tourism, with a target of 2.5 million tourist arrivals, surpassing the 2.3 million recorded in 2018. Now, second is expatriate remittances, expected to reach historic highs as overseas Sri Lankans continue to support the economy. Now, third is exports. Both goods and services are projected to deliver record high revenue again. Now, foreign direct investments is the fourth pillar. Now, the government has already secured $1 billion in FDI, along with $1.5 billion in investments for the Colombo port city. Now, while acknowledging the progress made in overcoming the dollar crisis, the president also cautioned about the upcoming challenge of debt servicing, which is set to begin in 2028. Now, at the same time, Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka met with United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the UN headquarters. This high-level diplomatic engagement underscored Sri Lanka's renewed commitment to global cooperation and national transformation. The meeting was held on the sidelines of the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly and was marked by a cordial exchange of views. President Anura Dissanayaka briefed the Secretary General on Sri Lanka's ambitious reform agenda, including economic restructuring, social development, and political modernization. Secretary General Guterres commended the progressive direction of the Sri Lankan government and expressed the United Nations' full support for the implementation of these initiatives. Now, if you just woke up and looking out of your windows, here's a news for you. The Department of Meteorology has warned of intense rainfall across several regions of Sri Lanka today, with the potential for over 100 millimeters of rain in parts of the western Sabaragamuwa, northwestern Galle, Matara, Kandy and Nuwara Elia districts. Director of Forecasting Meryl Mendes stated that the prevailing weather conditions could lead to severe showers, particularly in the southwestern and central highland areas. Now, in response to heavy rainfall, early landslide warnings have been issued for several divisional secretariat areas in the Kalutara, Galle, Matara and Ratnapura districts, according to the National Building Research Organization. Now, these alerts will remain in effect until this evening. Meanwhile, strong winds between 40 to 50 kilometers per hour are expected intermittently over the western slopes of the Central Hills and across the central, northern, north-central, northwestern provinces, including Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. The Met Department has urged the public to take necessary precautions to minimize risks associated with strong winds and potential landslides, especially in vulnerable areas. Now, moving on, a high-level expert committee appointed to recommend reforms for the restructuring of Sri Lanka's parliamentary administration has officially handed over its final report to Speaker Dr. Jagat Wickramaratne. The committee is chaired by KLL Vijayratne and it comprises several distinguished members. Now, the committee was tasked with conducting an in-depth review of key administrative concerns within Parliament, including staff recruitment procedures, promotions, salary structures and employee welfare. The Speaker's office stated that the initiative was launched in response to long-standing grievances regarding lack of transparency and fairness in international processes. In internal processes. The committee's recommendations aim to modernize and streamline parliamentary operations, ensuring greater accountability and efficiency. The report will be presented to the Parliamentary Staff Affairs Committee in the coming weeks for further deliberation and implementation planning. Now, in a major step towards reforming Sri Lanka's power sector, the Ministry of Power and Energy has announced the appointment of Board of Directors for 4 newly established companies under the provisions of the new Electricity Act. Each company will be governed by a 7-member board. The 4 entities are National System Operator Private Limited, National Transmission Network Service Provider Private Limited, National Electricity Distribution Lanka Private Limited, Electricity Generation Lanka Private Limited. According to the ministry, chairpersons for these boards are expected to be appointed within the coming week. Employees of the Ceylon Electricity Board have been given the option to transfer to these new companies voluntarily, with the deadline set for October 27. Now, those unwilling to make the transition will be eligible for retirement under a compensation scheme. Now, the restructuring mandated by the new Electricity Act divides the CEB into 4 specialized entities responsible for generation, transmission, distribution and system operations. The ministry emphasized that this move is aimed at improving efficiency, transparency and service delivery in the energy sector. However, several trade unions continue to engage in industrial action, demanding clarity and assurance regarding employee benefits and entitlements during the transition. Union representatives insist that all dues and compensations be formally generated or guaranteed before any structural changes are finalized. The Consumer Affairs Authority of Sri Lanka has intensified its nationwide operations against retailers selling Kiri Samba rice above the government-imposed maximum retail price of 260 rupees per kilogram. According to the CAA's investigation unit, raids were conducted across multiple districts throughout past week, targeting shops that were selling rice at inflated prices, some reportedly exceeding 300 rupees per kilogram. Now, Sri Lanka police say they have recovered a significant cache of illegal firearms this year as part of an intensified nationwide crackdown on organized crime and unlawful weapons possession. According to official reports, 36 T-56 assault rifles linked to organized criminal networks have been seized so far in 2025. Additionally, 30 more T-56 rifles believed to have belonged to the now defunct LTTE and other extremist groups were discovered buried in the Jaffna region. The police also confiscated 64 illegally held pistols, 46 revolvers, 40 shotguns and 6 repeater rifles. Authorities confirmed that continuous search operations are underway to locate and neutralize illegal weapons which pose a serious threat to public safety and national security. Now, a forest fire that broke out yesterday evening in the Rock Hill area along the Spring Valley Road in Badulla has now been successfully brought under control, according to local police sources. The blaze erupted on a hillside known for its natural springs and dense vegetation. Police confirmed that the fire was extinguished with the assistance of local residents who joined efforts to contain the flames before they could spread further. Authorities have not yet determined the cause of the fire and investigations are ongoing. Now, a potentially dangerous fire was swiftly brought under control in Kaduruvela town, Polonnaruwa, thanks to the quick intervention of a local shop owner. The incident occurred yesterday when a parked motorcycle suddenly caught fire during an attempt to restart it. The moment of ignition and the rapid spread of the flames were captured on a nearby CCTV camera, providing clear footage of the event. However, the shop owner acted immediately, using available resources to extinguish the fire. Up next is international news. Now, US President Donald Trump signed an executive order approving a proposal that would keep TikTok alive in the United States, in a transaction that Vice President J.D. Vance said values the business at $14 billion. The deal satisfies the requirement of a national security law requiring China-based ByteDance to sell TikTok's US operations or face an effective ban in the country, according to the executive order. Now, under the terms which China still must approve, a new joint venture company will oversee TikTok's US business, with ByteDance retaining less than 20% in stake. Now, no representatives from ByteDance were present at the signing, and the company hasn't acknowledged that the transaction is taking place. Sports news is up next. But in sports, the final clash of the Super 4 segment of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 tournament will see India take on Sri Lanka tonight at the Dubai International Cricket Stadium. Now, however, the match will be a dead rubber as both teams' fates have already been sealed. India, having secured victories against both Pakistan and Bangladesh in the Super 4 stage, have already qualified for the Asia Cup final. Sri Lanka, on the other hand, suffered consecutive defeats and has been eliminated from contention. Now, the final, scheduled for Sunday, September 28, will feature a blockbuster showdown between arch rivals India and Pakistan, marking the first time in Asia Cup history that the two teams will meet in a final. Now, in the crucial match held yesterday, Pakistan edged past Bangladesh by 11 runs to clinch the second spot in the final. Batting first, Pakistan posted a modest total of 135 for the loss of 8 wickets, with key contributions from Mohammad Hafiz, Mohammad Nawaz and Shaheen Shah Afridi. Now, Bangladesh, despite a promising start, faltered under pressure and managed only 124 runs for the loss of 9 wickets in their 20 overs. Shaheen Afridi and Haris Rauf were the stars with the ball, claiming 3 wickets each. Now, all matches of the Asia Cup 2025 are being broadcast live on TV1 and streamed via sirasatv.lk, ensuring all you sports fans across the region can follow the action live. And that brings an end to this week's edition of the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. I will meet you again next week. Until then, have yourself an amazing weekend.